Ready to get going with all the exciting wrestling results from last night. What good times. Alright, well, I guess I just need to call into the podcast now and get that part started. So, we're about 15 minutes late, but almost no one listens live yet to the podcast, as far as I'm aware. So, we'll see. Not sure if there's going to be a co-host at all today, but we are going to talk some NXT. And if you happen to care, ROH. And if you really happen to care, TNA. Alright, there's a few minutes intro, guys. The podcast is just now starting live. If you want to see, main event is actually looking really good this week. 6th Diva tag between Team Bella and Team Bad. We'll get back to the podcast in a second. There's about a 2-minute intro playing right now. Anyway, that's basically my commercial for Hulu Plus. You get main event the next day, and main event is solid lately. Right now they're listening to some NFL rookies doing WWE promos. Relatively entertaining. Jeez, these guys are like intense. Sorry guys, how'd you feel? Anyone out there, how'd you feel about NXT last night? Assuming you've watched it. Or did you watch ROH or TNA? Because those both happened last night too. I didn't see either of those. But I will tell you what happened in just 1 second. This opening clip is about to finish up. Then the theme song will play. Then we'll talk NXT, ROH, TNA. I promise. Then we'll get to the news and rumors. Woo! Ooh, someone just pulled out one of the Rock's lines in their NFL rookie promo. Alright, you can check that video out online if you want. We'll talk about it briefly during the news and rumors. I can barely hear anything because the theme song is blaring in my ears right now. One will know. Welcome to Marking Out in the Morning, coming to you live from Audacity Solution Studios in Des Moines, Iowa. It is September 24th, approximately 9:17 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm your host, The Audacity, and if it's also September 24th, shortly after 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, then you know you can watch this show every day live on Periscope. Every day live, you can listen to it on Blog Talk Radio. I may start going live on YouTube soon because why not? And yeah, you can check that out all the time. And if you don't know how to check out Periscope or how to follow me on Blog Talk Radio, just follow us on Twitter at HEELZiggler.com and you'll get those updates every day from HEELZiggler.com, the website that puts this podcast out, as well as some other things. After all, this is the first and only live, daily, morning, call-in pro wrestling news and rumors podcast. No one else is claiming to be that, which makes us the first and only. If you want to chime in live, you can jump in on the Periscope, and I will try my darndest to keep an eye on that to see if anyone's throwing out any comments. I will also have my Twitter open. You can tweet us at HEELZiggler_com with anything you want to say about today's news or results or previews or anything about wrestling. I will acknowledge it and we'll talk about it. You can also jump in the Periscope room. You can just tweet, or if you want to call and have a real life conversation, 657-383-1786. That is a really easy way to hop on. And again, I want to say, right now, main event is on in the background, and I have Hulu Plus, so I get main event as soon as it is available. I'm gonna check the network right now because I'm pretty sure that you can't get this episode of main event just yet on the network, and if that's true, that's like a one tiny bonus point for Hulu Plus. I love Hulu Plus. Anyway, plus they also have some random ECW WWE version when they started doing their show on Sci-Fi that you can't find on the network. So it's it's just really interesting. Let me see, main event. The most recent episode of Main Event you can watch is September 1st. So they're about 3 weeks behind. And this week you can watch Team Bad versus Team Bella in a 6-man tag that I believe had a clean finish. I didn't watch, but it appeared that way. So that's like an almost pay-per-view level match. And they give it no attention because it's on Main Event. One of the most underwatched shows because it's 3 weeks behind in storylines on the network. It's not available on TV anywhere. You basically have to live in England or watch Hulu Plus. I think those are the two ways to get it if you're not stealing it. How you doing this morning, everyone? Let's go ahead, get into results. There were 3 shows on last night that people who are fans of the non-mainstream main event WWE product that you could have watched. NXT, TNA, ROH. I'm going to go through the results of all 3 of those. Probably play a short clip, a few minutes of me and Andrew and Ika talking about how NXT went down last night. Then we'll get into the news and headlines. We'll throw that NXT in there somewhere depending on how the show feels. Whether or not any of the co-hosts that are potentially working with us today call in. We'll just see what happens. So, first and foremost, if you have not yet seen NXT, and I'm going to play the sound effect for everyone. So, for beginners, if you have not watched NXT but you want to, well, let me just tell you. Alright, so the results last night from NXT, the opening match, Eva Marie defeated Carmella by countout in a rematch, and during the match they were playing up the fact that it was controversial whether or not Eva Marie kicked out last week. She did a pre-recorded promo thanking, I can't tell if it was the referee or who, for giving her the benefit of the doubt or something. Whatever. Tyler Breeze defeated Bull Dempsey when he used his feet on the ropes for the pin. Azuka debuted and got some confrontation from Dana Brooke and Emma. The Vaudevillains retained the tag titles after they defeated Blake and Murphy with a little bit of help from Blue Pants, who joined halfway through to chase off Alexa Bliss. And the show ended with a bunch of updates and promos surrounding the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Next week, I'm excited for Big Cass, Enzo versus Samoa Joe, Finn Balor. I'm interested to see where they're going with that. I think either of those two teams are viable options for the winners of the tournament. And after that match, I believe both semifinal matches will be set, both of which will take place at TakeOver. Respect. I assume the final match in that tournament will happen right before the main event, or maybe 2 matches before the main event if they want to put a Finn Balor title defense in there as well. So, that was NXT last night. Me and Andrew and Ika talked about it right after it happened, so you'll get some commentary on that here a little bit later. But before we get to that, alright, so we're also going to go over the TNA Impact results from last night. I did not watch this, so this is me completely pulling information from something I read. I didn't go into a lot of the details because it's just TNA. So, Dixie Carter starts off with a promo about the lethal lockdown and those who participated in it. I don't really know what all that's about exactly. Chris Melendez defeated Eric Young in a lumberjack match. Gail Kim retained her title successfully against Jade. Tigre Uno retained his title against Kenny King. EC3 retained the world title successfully against Rockstar Spud. The World Heavyweight Championship. Drew Galloway defeated Bobby Lashley, Eddie Edwards, Stevie Richards, and Bram to become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship at Bound for Glory. And the show closed with some promo between EC3 and Jeff Hardy. I believe they are on the same side, so whatever. So that's TNA. I don't know who watches that anymore. I used to watch it if I got mad at WWE because I was really mature like that, but I haven't watched, I've never even seen EC3, so whatever. good for them, I guess. Bad for them, I don't know. We'll see how the ratings do and how the future holds for TNA. And before we move on from results, we have one more. From ROH last night, this is going to be real quick. Michael Elgin defeated Silas Young. New Japan Pro Wrestling continues to have a presence on ROH TV. ACH defeated Caprice Coleman. And Goto and Briscoes defeated Okada and RPG Vice. So those were the 3 matches. And I'm not sure which. I assume some of those guys in that main event are from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Again, I didn't watch it. I didn't really do much research. I just found the results last minute, posted them up. This is the first time I've really gave any kind of serious results for ROH. So we'll see if that continues going forward, if they even have TV, and if we remain interested enough, and if we want to update with GFW. I need to find somebody else who really watches those shows to provide updates. Internet. If anyone out there is watching and doesn't mind just coming on and being like, hey, here's what happened, call me. Really call me, 657-383-1786. Okay. So we've gone through all of the results, and we'll real quick gonna give you kind of a little more of a commentary on NXT from last night. Again, me and my friend Andrew, who is the trivia champion, who we'll talk about a little bit later. He's self-proclaimed and us-proclaimed. He's the champion by no other, whatever. You'll see if you listen to it, but YouTube took it down for some reason, so I'm not sure what that's all about. We'll look at it again. But there's that. So yeah, we'll take a look at that. Anyway, this is me and him and our friend Ika as we digested NXT last night. Enjoy. So that was, again, myself and Andrew and Ika just talking about NXT. General consensus, it was a pretty good show all in all. So that's what we got. I do not have a co-host as of yet, so we will give Brandon a few more minutes to do that. And so while we are killing that time, I'm going to go ahead and give you one more of these. Alright, so main event, again, I just want to point out this is available on Hulu Plus. I'm not sure where else you can watch it without stealing it, because the network won't put it on for 3 weeks. But it was a good show. Tonight, the card opened with Team Bad defeating Team Bella in a 6-diva tag when Sasha made Alicia Fox tap out, so a clean victory. Then in the second match, Stardust got a victory over R-Truth with a little help from the Ascension. And in the main event, Sheamus pinned Jack Swagger. And there was actually only one Raw review or Raw rewind. There were backstage promos for the people on the show. It was a good show. It's terrible. It was probably a better show just because it's so condensed than NXT. Than SmackDown, if I'm being honest. So anyway, if you have a way of watching main event, I highly recommend it. Alright, so news begins. First thing we're going to look at, after NXT last night, we now have an updated NXT TakeOver Respect card. That is the next NXT special that will come live from across the ocean. We now have, as well as the 30-minute Iron Man NXT Women's title match headlining the show. We also know we're going to get the semifinals and finals of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which will be set in stone after next week's NXT when Finn Balor and Samoa Joe face Enzo and Big Cass. And we also know Tyler Breeze will face Apollo Crews in what should be a really, really solid match, and probably give us a little more time out of Apollo Crews than any of his other opponents have given us so far. So that's shaping up already to be a good card. I assume the Vaudevillains will defend their titles against somebody. Maybe they'll be involved in a 6-person tag with Blue Pants and Alexa Bliss. So something involving the tag champs, you gotta believe. And it'll be interesting to see which WWE stars, especially those from Europe, go back on that tour page. Would make sense with some of the matches she could have. And obviously Finn Balor wants to go back. It looks like Neville is already being advertised. So you got to wonder who else will show up on those tour dates and on those specials for NXT. Next headline, they are planning a really big Raw. Hey, what's up, Grinnell? I know a lot of people from Grinnell at Axel90Axel in the Periscope room, where you can all join us right now if you'd like. Moving my Periscope the other angle so it's right up where my YouTube thing is too. This is gonna go so many places. Anyway, a huge Raw has been planned for October 19th in Dallas. That's gonna feature Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair. So they're doing that in Dallas, which is the city hosting WrestleMania. So I'm sure they're going to try to put on a big show for the audience there to really plug WrestleMania. Tickets will probably go on sale shortly thereafter, but you got to believe that's going to be a good show, and they'll have some big stuff planned to go along with Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair. So yeah, that'll be fun. Next headline. Well, I guess you got to also wonder if any of those guys, maybe Lesnar will have a match, but probably not. So all those guys will be advertised as being on the card, but you're not going to get a match from any of them. Flair will likely just be doing something with his daughter. Shawn Michaels, just because he's in Dallas, maybe he will end up trying to, him or Austin could end up, kind of in between Taker and Lesnar, trying to help them, whatever, just be able to talk or not kill each other, something stupid like that. But obviously, Austin and all those guys are going to get huge pops in Texas. So the crowd should be really jazzed. It'll also give us an idea of what the locals will be like for WrestleMania weekend. I go for the whole week every year, and the locals do make kind of an impact, because when you get down to WrestleMania, it's half people who have come from really far away, and half of everyone who kind of likes wrestling and up to the smarks in the city of Dallas will be around too. So that's always interesting to see what kind of crowd WrestleMania is going to have, and the night after on Monday Night Raw. Next up, the run-in from Night of Champions. It seems like we've had kind of a string of fans jumping and trying to get seen on TV before security takes them out. And I guess in reaction to that, the most recent one from Night of Champions is officially being charged. From what I hear, he's going to get 10 days in prison. And WWE is going after him for trespassing. So it's interesting. I guess they're finally taking an official stance so that hopefully this will stop some of the fans. It's kind of annoying because it just makes the camera work awkward. It makes them have to deal with something that we kind of just would rather. It's not breaking the fourth wall in a fun way. It's just stupid. And you wouldn't do that anywhere. I don't know. Whatever. I guess there are streakers and stuff in all sports. But it's just weird. They'd be like doing it at on a Broadway play or something where the actors have to act like something's going on. It's just annoying. But anyway, his name, Oscar Ramirez, who is 37 years old. He was arrested and charged with criminal trespass. So hopefully some people beat him up in jail because he's being an idiot, and that'll teach him. Next headline, not a lot of news today, guys. It's middle of the week, which is often a slow week if someone's not getting in trouble. But Total Divas ratings are down, which has got to be probably an all-time low for them. Did not break the 800,000 viewer mark, which last week was 804,000, and this is the second lowest rated show going all the way back to season 2. So As with all other WWE programming, Total Divas is struggling to keep their ratings up. I know they're going to probably try to insert Tough Enough Amanda and remove Naomi to see if that can somehow give some life to Total Divas. I watch it only to stay informed for the podcast, obviously. I don't admit to liking it. So anyway, bad news if you're into Total Divas. If you are, try to convert some more people to watch. I think there are a lot of really funny moments. I think TJ, a.k.a. Tyson Kidd, is pretty hilarious on that show. And you do every once in a while get like a better understanding of just how the machine works. And sometimes things kind of slip. I think sometimes they sort of forget everything they say and do is on TV. So sometimes things slip, and it's funny. And on the same news that I was reading from Wrestling Inc., as Total Divas ratings go down, WWE stock went down 1.5% yesterday, closing at $17.60. I have been out of the WWE stock game for a while, but every time it goes down, I always invest because Vince always convinces people and it goes back up, and then I sell. So I think the next time I buy will be maybe the fourth time I've bought WWE stock, and I'm sure I will buy again because I love the product, and it's more fun to invest in things that you love and you can watch and see how they're doing. And if you care for any reason, David Otunga is going to be giving a speech at the University of Memphis. That was last night. No idea how it went. Didn't feel like it was worth looking into. Let's see. And if you heard the very beginning of the podcast, we played a clip that I found at nesn.com, which is a football site. I'm sure this came from somewhere else on YouTube. I don't know if it was... Man, I'll just play it on YouTube and see, because obviously it was not done by that website. Bleacher Report, I guess, is the one who posted it. They just interviewed a bunch of NFL rookies, had them do WWE promos, not even really about football, just pretending they're a pro wrestler and cutting a promo and against actual wrestler names that the announcer feeds them. I'm not sure how much they got to prep for this. If anything, they're all wearing WWE Spinner Championship belts. They all give themselves nicknames. So if you want to check that out, go to Bleacher Report's YouTube channel, whatever. It's mildly entertaining and it lasts about 2 minutes. Or if you just want to listen to it, go listen to the podcast. And the last little bit of news we have is if you're a Bayley fan, then congratulations. Our friend. I'm friends with someone who's friends with Rob Schamberger, in the sense that we do podcasts together and we've met in real life and we are cordial and I respect them. I think they mostly kind of respect me. And anyway, Bayley is the latest victim of Rob Schamberger's art, and by victim I obviously mean subject. And he is really good, and you've probably seen his artwork. You've probably seen him on a few segments backstage WWE. He does some amazing artwork, and he basically travels with WWE. He has like the best life ever, basically. He gets to travel around with WWE, painting pictures of his favorite superstars, getting involved in segments backstage, getting to know superstars as he paints them. What a rough life, am I right? Rob Schamberger. So check that out. Just search for Rob Schamberger. Schamberger, as you probably guessed. Or just type Bayley Canvas Artist. Something like that. You'll figure it out. Whatever. That's the news. The only thing I really have left is just to go over the the preview of WWE SmackDown for tonight. This is a spoiler-free preview because I hate spoilers. I hate watching something like pro wrestling when I know that when I already know the results. Why even watch something? Why would you ever watch something when you already know the outcome? There's very few instances where that makes sense, I guess. So, whatever. We're going to go over that real quick. And if you have any questions, you know, get at me. You should be watching live and listening live, and then just you can tweet at me, and you would get all these opportunities. So tonight on WWE SmackDown, Roman Reigns faces Luke Harper. The New Day squares off against the Lucha Dragons and Neville in a 6-man tag. Cesaro faces Bo Dallas. Ryback and Dolph Ziggler tag up against Rusev and Kevin Owens. And in a non-title match, Seth Rollins faces Dean Ambrose to close the show. Again, Roman Reigns versus Luke Harper will be pretty decent, I think. New Day, all three of them against Lucha Dragons and Neville. They're really trying to build that tandem, I guess, the Lucha Dragons and Neville. That'll be a good match. I don't know if there'll be a clean win on that one or not. A lot of these matches, it's questionable whether the win will be clean. Cesaro versus Bo Dallas, I'm seeing if this is them continuing to punish Cesaro, or if they're going to, if they're using a win over Bo Dallas to kind of get him steered back in the right direction after jobbing like hell out to the Big Show, who doesn't matter at all. Ugh. Ryback and Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev and Kevin Owens. Oh, and Cesaro and Bo Dallas could be a really good match, too. Ryback and Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev and Kevin Owens. I mean, I feel like Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler are two guys who can get really good matches out of anybody. Rusev is a good worker. And that can all make up for how much I can't stand watching Ryback. But maybe he'll grow on me. Maybe not. I finally am at a place where I don't hate Sheamus and I don't hate Kofi Kingston. So, you know, anything can happen. And in a non-title match, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Obviously, it's going to be a good match. I doubt there's going to be a clean victory because no one benefits that much from the win without there being more damage to the other person, right? So it doesn't really add up mathematically. I think I may have just pulled a gray hair, which is really sad. That's really all we got. That's the end of the show. Usually towards the end of the week, things really start to slow down because, you know, there's not much going on. We'll watch SmackDown tonight. We'll report on that in the morning. And any news that happens between now and then, we will update you on. Thanks for listening. This has been Marking Out in the Morning. Don't forget you can subscribe if you're not listening live, which you should be, because it's more fun that way. But if you don't, and even if you do, subscribe to us on iTunes, subscribe to us on Stitcher, subscribe to us on Blog Talk Radio, subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to start going live on YouTube, I believe, also. So that could change the world. Anyway, thanks for joining us. This has been Marking Out in the Morning. I'm your host, the Audacity. Follow us on HEELZiggler. Follow us on Twitter at HEELZiggler_com. Check us out at HEELZiggler.com. Thanks. Later, Periscope. Later, YouTube.